Good morning, everybody. Philippa Haynes from Insight 101, and today I want to talk to you about the power of your unique brand story. In a world where the competition is really hotting up and there are new businesses and entrepreneurs starting day in, day out, I think there's around 5.7 million new small businesses in the UK at the moment, and that is increasing in the thousands on a yearly basis. So what that means is even the small businesses, the new businesses, the startups really need to have a story that stands out, is unique, and also really talks to the emotions of the customer and client that you're trying to attract. It's not good enough to talk about price and to talk about being cheaper than somebody else. What you really need to do is inspire that customer, to really get them interested in you so that you stand out, you're different. And the most important thing is that you are memorable. And that is what it's all about, being memorable. Now, most of you leading up to the Christmas period will have seen an advert with Elton John in it. And yes, it's the John Lewis advert, which we all expect every year before Christmas. For some people, it's actually signals the start of Christmas even. It's become so valued. And of course, a lot of the time, what they're not doing is talking directly about their brand. What they are doing is creating a connection with their customer, an emotional connection that tugs at the heartstrings and is totally memorable. So this story is obviously about a small boy who has a piano given to him at Christmas. And then in the advert, for the couple of minutes, you see his rise to fame. And of course, Elton John going through all of those big gigs that he did, all of that adulation. But at the end of the day, it's a story about family. It's a story about hope, hope for your family and your children, and success eventually. And it leaves you with an emotional response, whatever that is. And that is really what they're hoping for. And that is what we want to achieve when we talk about our business as well. We want to have some kind of response from our customers and our clients, and not just a rational one, which is, no, I can't afford that. More about, where do I sign on the dotted line? This isn't new, of course. I mean, we've all told stories for centuries. And this graphic here shows, even in caves, there is evidence that people were telling stories many, many years ago. But it is new in business. Yeah, so John Lewis, a brand like that, a retailer like that, is really leading the way, because businesses are beginning to tell stories. They are beginning to talk more personally to their customers and their clients. And that is about cutting through. So cutting through those 5.7 million kind of businesses that are out there, ensuring that your message and that your business is memorable. And what that brings is a real identity to your business. It's memorable in the eyes of your customer, and it stands out from the crowd essentially. You're not a lookalike anymore, but you offer real perceived added value. And I think what it also does is shows that your business is unique and individual. And essentially, it's about a person talking about their business, talking to other people, because people buy people. And certainly among smaller businesses and startups, where it's the people who are working within that organisation who are selling the product and service. So it's absolutely critical. Because, a brand is the most important investment you can make in your business. So it's that brand story that starts to build your identity and your brand. You don't have to be the Coca-Colas of this world or the John Lewis or whatever with millions of budget towards marketing. You don't need that. Actually, you can be very sleight of foot. You can be very nimble in the way that you work. And you really can quite quickly put across your brand. So branding is not about size. Brand is not about having a logo or how you look. Brand is about having a story and knowing why your customer is unique. And that should be at the heart of everybody's strategy, at the heart of everybody's business plans. Because if you don't know who you are right from the start, you're wasting your money. You're wasting that marketing budget that you put out there because you won't know what it is that you're trying to say. You won't know what's unique about you, and you won't have your brand story that really starts to bring your business to life. So when you're thinking about your brand story, it's pretty simple. It's a story about what makes you and your business you and your business. So what's your past, your present, and where do you want to go in the future? When you're thinking about creating your story, it's what about your past, present, and future that singles you out? Your personal situation, where you've come from, your family, how you were brought up. Your career to date is also a really interesting angle. What your vision and purpose is now going forward. Your values, of course, that's what makes you really stand out. And that should be apparent in your brand story, as well as your beliefs. So we understand where you've come from, what got you to where you are now in your business. What are those values that you realise and those beliefs that you want to take into your own business? And how does that affect the way that you do business? What will you provide your customer and your client that somebody else won't? What is brand you? So with the story, you need a beginning, a middle, and an end. First of all, how do you start the story and where do you end it? Now, most stories also have a source of friction, and as a business owner, I think we'll all identify with this. There was a moment potentially where you thought, do you know what? I'm leaving the corporate world and I'm setting up on my own, or I just have this great idea. I want to set up a business. So the source of friction could be something bad that's happened, something joyful, a real sort of recognition that you wanted to do something else. But there's a moment where something happens where you decide to set up your business. And that is gold dust in your story. And then it's all about the catalyst. So what compelled the hero, i.e. you, to make that change? What compelled you to step out? What was the final straw for you? What was the sort of positive message that you received maybe that made you think, yes, I can do that, I can do it? You know, maybe it was a realization of your values and your beliefs and your vision, and suddenly what you've been doing in the past didn't actually work with that. And you're like, you know, what am I doing here? And I know a lot of my clients who have had a pretty prestigious history and background, you know, really high profile business people, successful business people, but they've just realized that what they were doing was not in line with their value system. So they got out. And then, of course, at the end of your story is that resolution, happy ever after. So, you know, for whatever reason, you decided to set up your business because of your values, and going forward, what happened? So you've got your business and that's your happy ever after. Now, where are you taking that business? And what I do with my clients is I try and get them to think about the beginning, the middle, and the end. So that beginning, I always find the beginning is your childhood, what it was somewhere there that affected you and affected your behavior and belief systems for the rest of your life, and actually means that you repeatedly do the same thing over the years, whether that's positive or negative. And so actually that repetition becomes something that is part of you and is many times the reason for you setting up your own business. Of course, the middle part of your story is possibly around your career to date, and some of the things that happened. What is the strand that's running through it? What are those things that you kept doing from childhood that you take into your business? And then the end, of course, is what is the resolution? What did you decide to do? Why did you start your business? What's your business all about? So that is very simply how you create your brand story. But it's absolutely the start and the end of your emotional connection with the customer. Now we talk about the resolution, which is hopefully a happily ever after. You've set up your business, this is what you now do. So imagine the scene, you're doing your keynote, you've talked about yourself and your business, how you got into it, and you have this engaging story. And then you get to the point where you talk about what you decided to do. Now, what I find is that if somebody's done the work around their story, their brand story, what they realise is that their business at the moment or their business idea isn't quite in line with their story. It isn't optimised. And so, for instance, they may be talking about being an accountant, but the story that they've told up until that point is there's far more texture to it. There's far more in it. There are reasons, strong reasons why they went into this business. But actually, when they start to put together their marketing, what their business offer is, they haven't captured that. And that is an absolutely critical point. There's no point having a brand story and then talking about your future, which is generic, vanilla, and pretty much a kind of a, oh. So to give you an example, I was working with somebody recently who was in insurance. Really lovely lady. But she talks about herself. She says, I offer insurance packages to businesses. Now, that to me is absolutely hiding your light under a bushel. It's not a compelling message. It's talking very directly about insurance. It's not piquing the interest of somebody. So in my eyes, you are failing to achieve your opportunity, your full potential. Actually, once I'd done the work with her about her brand story, what came out was so different and so defined and so differentiating, because this lady had gone through hell in her life. Her father had left her mother. Her mother really didn't know how to cope with that. She was financially vulnerable. She didn't know how to write checks even. She basically fell apart. And as she watched her mother fall apart, so did she. And she went down a spiral of negativity, failed at school, was going down a very, very dark path. And she got to secondary school and she was failing big style. She wasn't going to achieve anything. She wasn't even going to get any exams. She was that bad. And then one day she realised that she had let this one negative event in her life really colour everything else that she was doing. She'd let that event where her father had left her mother, she'd taken on that negative experience and opted out. And what she realised then was that she didn't want to do that. She didn't want to let any man dictate her future. And what was really clear quite quickly was that as she progressed and got better at school and really began winning, she became professionally proficient. And what she had been doing ever since, but she hadn't realised, was championing the strength and the power of women and never allowing any other woman in a family situation to be that vulnerable. When she talked about this, it wasn't insurance that she was delivering. It was security. It was empowering a woman in a family situation so that she never had, a situation where the family fell apart. And actually, this lady who does deal in insurance is very much in a male-dominated world. But her story is all about getting women to take responsibility, not just in insurance, but in life in general. Now, that is a powerful story, and that is unique to her, and that takes her way beyond insurance. So that's the sort of thing that when you're thinking about your own business, it's what happened in your past, how can you write your story, and how can you reflect that story in what you offer? Not only what you offer, but who you offer it to, and what is your, tonally, how are you doing that? How are you embracing people? Are you challenging? Are you empowering? What are you doing? It's incredibly important to be clear. So that if you're a coach, then you go beyond a coach. There's your brand of coaching, which means that you stand out from the crowd. There's accountancy, maybe if you're an accountant, then there's your service, there's your accounting, which isn't just about accountancy, so that people just switch off if they think, oh, I don't need an accountant. It's kind of, what is your brand of accountancy? And what do you deliver more broadly within that? Maybe that's part of your story. Because at the end of the day, all of your marketing assets, everything that you do needs to hang around this particular story. You need to have that unique offer, and you need that to translate into everything you do. The networking events you go to, what you say at networking events, your marketing strategy, the social media channels that you use, and what your posts are all about. Actually, your brand story and your flavor of your business, that unique part of your business is what will really push you forward in future and make and get you noticed. So you need to have your story that will build to your keynote, and actually you'll have a brand one-pager or blueprint that you'll really understand what it is that you're about, your values, your beliefs, etc. And then you'll be able to think about your customer persona as well. So you'll have clarity, direction, purpose, you'll feel empowered and confident in the conversations. And you know that you'll have a powerful brand, you'll be different, and you'll be adding value. A lot of my clients talk about having to haggle over price. If you have a compelling story and you are memorable and different and have something unique to offer, then you will no longer need to talk about price as much. You will have added value, and that's absolutely key for your business. Hey guys, I hope that was really helpful. If you need to get in touch, here are the details below. Let me know, message me if you found this helpful and you used it and where you got to. Thanks, and see you again. Cheers.